with your home's equity a little bit under the gun, as we've seen the market really stable off, depending on when you purchased your home, I wanted to bring 3 different ways to you so that you can understand how to actually leverage that equity and build your real estate empire without having to blow up the whole transition and process. So it is still possible. It is still possible to find those cash flowing investments, but I want to tell you exactly how you can do that, regardless of when you purchased. If your dream is to build that real estate investment empire, I want to help you, and it starts with 1, and I want you to know that. So stay tuned, and we're going to dive in. What's up, guys? I am Jeremy Kane with Living in the Denver Suburbs and eXp Realty. This is near and dear to my heart as I have done this. I started with 0 down payment and have turned that into 5 long-term investment doors and 1 short-term investment door, and I still have my house that I live in. So 7 doors total. And this is what I love to do. I love to meet clients where they're at and help them dream and vision and create a plan to grow their wealth. So if you like this type of content, please, smash that like and subscribe button. I also do a ton about living in the Denver suburbs, strategies to buying and selling. But today we're talking about investment. So do all those things, keep in touch. You can always reach out to me via text 303-210-0378 or DM me on Instagram at JKCO Realtor _. But let's get into it. So first things first, when we're talking about turning our current home into an investment, the best way to do this would be to leave everything alone, especially if you're in those lower interest rates that we had 2 years ago. Those are never coming back, and they are like gold. So if that's the case and you don't want to mess with your equity or anything like that, the easiest way to do this would be to start saving. And the beauty of this is if you transition from your primary, turn that into an investment property, and then come back to your plan, you can actually purchase a home with a lower down payment if it's going to be your primary residence. So not only can you purchase with a lower down payment, your interest rate will be that primary residence interest rate. So if at all possible, if you can save the 3.5% or 5%, that 3% conventional usually isn't available at that time. But if you can just save that amount, we can then transition you into a home, and it's just straight across the board. That is by far the cleanest way to do it. So if you're a planner and you want to get ahead of that, if you can save and save and save and move towards that down payment for your move up home, that is by far the best way. Well, with that said, obviously life is costing so much more, inflation, all the things. If you just don't see that being a possibility in the near future and you don't want to get like 3 other jobs, well, then there's other options to kind of leverage some of that equity and go from there. So that's point number 2, is accessing your equity in some way. This is an extremely important strategy session that needs to be had. And if you're interested in sitting down and talking about what options you have, please book a call with me, a buyer consultation. I'll put the link in the description below, or you can always reach out to me, on Instagram or text or whatever. But this is an extremely important piece because we don't want to, refinance your home and do a cash out refinance and get that, elevated interest rate if you're at a lower interest rate. Now, if you're at a high interest rate anyways, because you bought in the last 2 years, well, maybe we can, maybe it makes sense there. But as well, pulling that equity out in the form of a HELOC, we need to be very strategic with that. Technically, when you pull a HELOC out, you can pull it out as a line of credit and leave it there. The only thing you can't technically do is pull it out to buy another home. And so if you're pulling it out, saving it for a rainy day, it's part of your saving strategy, and then an opportunity comes across, it's usually, kosher. So that's important to note, but also what's the HELOC or the home equity line of credit setup, right? Are you paying interest only? When do you start paying? Do you start paying when you draw? What are the fees? What are the early termination fees? All of this needs to factor in, especially if we're talking about cash flow on the investment property. So this is by far the most, in-depth strategy. So we need to have a conversation about how we can actually best utilize that equity, how we can access it the cheapest way possible and have a strategy to move forward. Hypothetically, it's best if you can cash out refinance or get a HELOC, and when you do draw from the HELOC or when you start paying the payments in the cash out refinance, if we can not only pay for that piece, but the investment property also covers the new mortgage, that's what we want, right? Because we're pulling this out of our primary residence. The whole point, the beauty of real estate investment is that you are using someone else's money to pay down your debt. And so we want to make sure that that's not overlooked. If you are pulling out a second mortgage or you are pulling out a HELOC, we want to make sure that as part of that, someone else is paying. Now, sometimes it's not possible, but in most cases, we can probably find this. It may be going to a different location, buying an investment property in a lower market or anything like that. But that's why we need to have a conversation. The other option with a primary residence going to your first investment property is to sell the home. Again, you have to look at your payment and the interest rate you're leaving behind. It's not the end of the day, but take the equity and strategically use it to purchase a new primary home, usually a move up, but sometimes a downsize, depends on where you're at in life, and then use the rest of the equity to purchase an investment property. And obviously this would be in those cases where you have $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000 in equity, but it certainly helps you put that equity to work because you're taking your equity from one property, you're selling that property, you're taking the equity, and you're going to have a new home that maybe suits your lifestyle better that you can live in, and then you're going to have an investment property. So you have two homes gaining appreciation. And with that said, appreciation in real estate is absolutely great. It's not something we count on when we're putting these investment strategies together. We can certainly dream about it and talk about it, and it's a factor, but I want to wipe that off the board, and I want to make sure that your property is at least paying for itself, right? So your mortgage on your primary residence is staying the same or going up a little bit, and you can cover that. But when we're talking investments, we want to make sure that we're at least at a break even, not only for the mortgage, but for all of the expenses that come with it. And so when we make that happen, we can absolutely grow your wealth through real estate, as I have done with my own personal investments. There was no, big corporate investor. There was no, group funding, investment. And that's probably another thing to consider. If you do have a lump sum, you're not ready to take that on, there are these group funded investments that are coming up. Again, something that we would want to talk to you about. Definitely not something that I would be involved in a transaction, and I don't host one of these group funding things. But just to kind of understand what the end goal is. Because when I first got into investing, I was just kind of shooting from the hip. It wasn't until I sat down with a lender who actually put a plan to it, and I was able to really accelerate that process and have a plan. So somebody did it for me, and that's what I want to do for you. So if real estate investment is in your future, don't just say interest rates are too high, I missed the boat, because that's absolutely not what I want for you. I want to be a part of it. I want to be on your team, and I want to surround you with the right team to help you push this needle forward and absolutely help you build wealth through real estate. I want to have that impact on your life, your family, that I've seen on mine, mostly by luck. But now I've done it, so I'm quote unquote the expert. So I hope this helps. Thanks for coming on the road with me for the second Why Invest Wednesday in a row. We'll be back in the lab. Actually, next week we'll be in Miami, so we'll have to figure that out too. Maybe, I don't know. But it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but thank you so much for sticking with me. The production value will be back next week, but until then, I'm going to go speak to 200 agents. And you're watching this live after I've probably already spoken to those agents. But thank you so much. Please like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any questions, book that consultation, and let's start dreaming. Let's start building a plan for you right now. Bye-bye.